protein shake post-arm day. But that's not the only thing I have today, fam. People, brothers, sisters, for those that don't like the word fam. You know what else I got for you today? I got KORN's new album, Serenity of Suffering, the standard edition, because I could not find where they sell an album with bonus tracks. Best Buy, Target, iTunes, none of them did bonus tracks. I think, just Japan got 2 of them. But I listened to 3 of the bonus tracks. I'll talk about those later. But God, long story short, KORN fucking killed it with Serenity of Suffering. If you don't count Path to Totality, this is their 11th album. And they really brought it back. I knew that from the moment they dropped Rotting in Vain that this was going to be a good album. And then, of course, they released, 3 more singles. They released Insane, A Different World, and Take Me, which were all great songs, too. But I was just like, I cannot wait to hear the non-singles. And you better believe most of the non-singles delivered. Was this KORN album consistent from start to finish, whereas there were no weak tracks? No. Probably going to have some disagreements here, but to me, the songs When You're Not There, yeah, I'm going to just say When You're Not There was the only track that I heard that sounded like filler. It's not a bad song. There's like no such thing as a bad KORN song, except Tenor a Two-Way. I don't care for that song. But still, really no such thing as a bad KORN song. But if you want to nitpick and say that this album has any weak tracks on it, in my opinion, it would be When You're Not There. And KORN did a lot of traditional things with this album. If you've heard me say it before, it sounds like they replicated the sounds of Issues, Untouchables, and Take a Look in the Mirror. Now, to those that don't like comparisons and stuff, I'm just trying to paint a word picture and tell you, hey, I'm a diehard KORN fan. I hear similar riffs, similar guitar tones, similar vocal phrasings, screaming styles that Jonathan Davis does that I initially heard in like Issues. Like the verse of A Different World, that was horrible, but the main verses of A Different World sound like it came straight out of Issues. That creepy background and that light singing before it goes into like a heavy chorus or something, that's very Issues. Most of the songs have big choruses and nice, solidly round guitar tones that would be reminiscent of Untouchables. Untouchables was a very heavy album. It didn't sound super raw though, but there are songs like Take Me, where the verses and like the bridge sound like something straight off of like Take a Look in the Mirror. So like, this album has its own identity. If they were to write something in the future, I'd be like, wow, this might sound like something that was off of Serenity of Suffering, but I'm going to listen to this album and go, okay, none of this sounds like their first album, none of this sounds like See You on the Other Side, none of this sounds like The Paradigm Shift, and that's fine. This album has its own identity, and it's amazing. I would probably say it is the 3rd or 4th best album they've ever released. Out of 11 albums, they took 3 of their strongest albums, Issues, Untouchables, and Take a Look in the Mirror, in my opinion, was maybe not when they were at their peak. I would say Follow the Leader was, but they had really solidified their sound, and they had kept showing the world, showing us fans, what they could do with their music. And they just tied in together all these different sounds. They brought back Head. Ray Luzier has become even more comfortably fluid and heavy. Like, his drumming is top-notch. I don't have any hate for David Silvera's drumming, because his drumming on the first couple of albums are fucking phenomenal. Like, you're not going to hear drumming like you ever heard on KORN's first album. KORN's first and Life is Peachy too had some insane fills and very unique drumming. But Ray's drumming, and of course bringing back Head, the way I like to describe it is this is a heavy, more successful version of the Paradigm Shift, because they brought back Head in the Paradigm Shift, and you hear all the guitar, all the creepy sounds, all the stuff that was absent off of KORN 3. KORN 3, Monkey shows that he can still play these heavy low-end riffs that are groovy, that you can bounce to. But when you put Head and Monkey together, you hear those guitars communicate. You hear rhythm, or you hear two weird melodies and, you know, high-pitched dissonant sounds communicating with each other, like in Trash or in Falling Away From Me. Just two, and it's present in this Serenity of Suffering album. In my opinion, and I'm gonna put a list at the end of the video. I'm gonna put a graphic showing how I rank the songs, not including the bonus tracks. Where I start from the best song to what I thought was the weakest track. Again, I liked every track off this album, but that's how I ranked them. The best tracks off this album, in my opinion, were The Hating and Black is the Soul. I think we can all agree that Black is the Soul sounds like nothing KORN has ever done before. They got like substantially heavier while remaining beautifully melodic and haunting. Apparently, Black is the Soul and The Hating were two of their favorite songs that they wrote in the studio, because they're doing a track-by-track release of like a band documentary, kind of like a bonus DVD that you would get, you know, where it's like studio stuff. The guitar work in The Hating, it's so disgusting. That low end, it sounds so old school, and Jonathan Davis screams heavier than like he ever did on Life is Peachy. Like, the man's vocals have gotten even better. After all this time, he's still a fucking monster. And like, if you've ever listened to Brian Head Welch's side project, Love and Death, the guitar work on that album is phenomenal. And I would assert that maybe Brian Head wrote the majority of it. But like, a lot of the riffs in his side project are heavier than your traditional KORN riffs. But it sounded like he took some of that heaviness that he had in Love and Death, and he brought it to Serenity of Suffering. Just listen to Love and Death's full album, and you're going to be like, holy shit. Not only is Head an insane guitarist, but he's also an excellent singer. So yeah, bringing Head back was the smartest thing KORN ever did, because without him, they didn't release bad albums, but if you're a traditional KORN fan, you like their heavy stuff, you need Head. It would probably be a similar struggle if they got rid of Monkey, because Monkey seems to like write a lot of the groovy, bouncy stuff. Head seems to write more of the hard-driven, creepy melodies. I mean, they both have that capacity to do that, but when they work together, they're far better than when they're apart, I guess. Let me talk about the bonus tracks real quick. There's a song called Baby. The intro reminded me a lot of Freak on a Leash. That high-pitched guitar, you know, that high, you know, that memorable hook that we all remember hearing from guitar, on the guitar. The verses in Baby are very creepy and old school sounding. They reminded me of like their first couple of albums. And even though I said this album primarily takes aspects of Issues, Untouchables, and Take a Look in the Mirror, in my opinion, you're going to hear a lot of old school sounding stuff too from like the mid 90s. You're going to hear, you know, newer inspired stuff. And again, all that combination of sounds is what gives Serenity of Suffering its own identity. It just sounds like they were really aiming for the Issues era. Baby has an amazing chorus. Another song, Out of You. Kind of glad that one didn't make the album. That's a Japanese bonus track. To me, it was kind of slow. And there was supposed to be like this build-up in the middle, but the build-up didn't like deliver like Take Me or Rotting in Vain. Like, you know, build-up, but like it's not even a super hard like breakdown or bridge. And Calling Me Too Soon was a good song. But I can see how none of these songs made it to the album. But they're good tracks. I thought Calling Me Too Soon and Baby were better. Out of You was decent. I think two of them were Japanese bonus tracks, and then another one was just another. I couldn't find a hard copy of the album that had them, but you can hear them on YouTube. One thing they didn't do that they tend to do in a lot of their old albums was they didn't have like a stupid long outro song. That's what kind of made me sad about Please Come For Me. It's definitely a good song with an interesting set of verses, and even the bridge is pretty fun, but it's just way too... It sounds like your typical closing track, but not for KORN. It sounds just like a... Okay, Next in Line was like that penultimate great song. Next in Line's like my third favorite track. Next in Line sounds like this penultimate amazing song with like weird fast rap versing, which you've never heard him do. It's like this weird fast talking thing that's a bridge that's really fucking heavy and awesome. And then like Please Come For Me is like the post-sexual, you know, we're cuddling song, and we're gonna finish off the album like that. But it wasn't like anything heavy or raw like Daddy or My Gift to You. Insane was a great way to start the album. To me, it wasn't their strongest single, but it's still a great song. It's still fucking heavy. Here's to KORN for putting record scratching in Insane and Next in Line. Alright, so at the end of all that rambling, I would put KORN Serenity of Suffering as probably their third or fourth best album. This album is fucking incredible. The only reason why it's not their best is because you just can't touch that authentic 90s amazingness that Follow the Leader brought. But Serenity of Suffering is the best album they've put out in over 10 years. I'm extremely satisfied with it. Again, listen to it, buy it if you haven't already. They sell it at Target, Best Buy. That's that. And again, I'm going to put a graphic at the end that's going to show you how I rank the tracks. And yeah, there's a... I mean, seriously, how would you think they're not trying to sound like Issues when they're featuring the fucking doll? So yeah, anybody that would disagree with that point would probably be hard-pressed to argue it, because they're clearly trying to replicate old sounds on this album, and they did it fucking successfully. Folks, if you've been watching this Talking NuMetal series, I just want to say thank you. I'm going to keep doing more bands, different albums, but I just recently did the entire KORN collection, and as a way of saying thank you, I want to show you my KORN collection. There's fucking light reflecting on it. But yeah, first three albums, second, 4, 5, and 6, which to me these three albums are the ones that Serenity of Suffering replicate the most, and then newer stuff. I bought Untitled on iTunes, so I don't have a hard copy, and then KORN 3, I never bought that hard copy. So out of their 11 studio albums, you know, excluding Path of Totality, I have 9 hard copies, motherfucker. Alright guys, I'm Jay Dennis with Talking NuMetal. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing all things NuMetal. My band Raptor Riot is a NuMetal band heavily inspired by KORN and Limp Bizkit. Take a listen to that if you haven't already. There's links down below to buy the EP. And it's been fun. Check out KORN's new album.